So first off, how did you get into this career?
Oh my gosh, just having a it's a long story now. Just being absolutely passionate about music. Started playing piano when I was 3, guitar when I was like 14, 15, studied music composition. I'm giving you the truncated version. I did a film scoring program and a couple years later at Berklee College of Music, and then did an internship with Hans Zimmer, and then an internship with Henry Jackman, and then got hired at John Powell's studio. And then from there, I kind of shaped my musical understanding of things to kind of like be where I am today.
So is there a movie or TV show that really inspired you to
Oh yeah, I think Hook for sure. John Williams, I love his writing. He's one of my favorite composers. Ennio Morricone is one of my favorite composers. There's a lot of like pop, rock, and hip hop artists that inspire my musical, leanings.
Yeah.
Like Temptations is what made me fall in love with guitar. And yeah, I love like St. Vincent, and I love like Bjork, and I just love all sorts of things.
So what do you find is the difference between composing for live action versus animation?
Let me think about that for a second. I think animation has a little bit more of you're following the action quite closely, and so the music can be very active. I think with live action, depending on what it is, if it's like a comedy or if it's an action film, that's quite similar to animation. But if it's like a half-hour comedy, it's usually like you're relying on the actors' performances to kind of like shine through. The music is there kind of like to sting in, sting out, like bumper here, bumper there. An hour-long drama is like, very much legato, where like, themes are can be slow, can be very weighty, kind of heavy. And it can be like wall-to-wall music. I've done all sorts of things, but I think animation is the most active. And you're doing a lot every second. Yeah.
Were you a fan of the Adventure Time series before you got the
Yes, I was. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like watching it like nonstop, but I was definitely familiar with the series. And it was like an honor to be asked. It was so cool. And once I kind of dove into it and kind of learned more about the fan base, it's like how fanatic folks are about it. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
So what's it like working on something like that does have such a fanatic fan base and figuring out how you're going to compose?
Exactly. Despite there being like such intense lore and just like connected themes going back and forth for like years and years and years, there's a lot of creative freedom with the music. And Adam Muto will let me know if there's something that needs to be like, thematically, like this needs to connect to this particular universe or this particular episode. But for the most part, the framework is like wide open. I can just like do whatever I want, which is like really cool. And I think the weirder, the better. Yeah.
Do Fiona and Cake have their own like character themes?
Let me think about that for a second. The nature of this new series, it's like there's a lot of different experiences that are happening.
Right.
So the music's very much tracking the different experiences and different perceptions of reality. So without giving away too much, I don't know. So the music's following that much more than a thematic thing. But instrumentation-wise and themes, there are themes that are there. And yeah, there's certain themes that are... Yes, to answer your question, yes. They're kind of like woven throughout the series, yeah.
On episodic projects, do you get the full locked episode or do you get dailies?
I get an early animatic and then I get an almost locked picture.
Okay.
And I work from both of them and until, deadlines pop up. Yeah.
So when you get it, do you sit down at an instrument and what instrument?
Yeah, so that depends on the tone. Some episodes might be more synth driven, other episodes might be more string driven. So depending on the instrumentation that's kind of where I'll start. And I'm kind of more band instrumentation in terms of what I can play. So if I need something that's more string driven, then I will bring in a soloist into my studio and I'll write something on piano, have them do it, like copy that idea, and then we'll just kind of riff from there. Yeah.
Do you have a particular genre that you like composing for most?
I'm like wide open. Like as long as the story is cool, and it could be horror, or it could be love story, whatever, comedy. I'm just game. Like I'm just down for whatever.
Yeah. What's your sort of holy grail of film and TV composing?
Let me think about that. I guess something I've yet to do would be just like kind of like a massive animated feature, like How to Train Your Dragon, or like a Trolls movie. Or like I think it'd be fun to experience that and just like do it at that scale.
Okay, if you weren't composing, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a chemist because
gosh.
my whole family is like in the STEM field. My entire like scholastic track was to become a chemist, and then the moment I got to college, I did tons of research, summer internships in labs and stuff like that. But then once I got to college, I like switched to music, and my dad was thoroughly upset. But that's still inside me. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
still a scientist at heart.
Yeah. How does your family feel now that you've?
Oh,
that
they're
you've got
happy
options out
now. But
Yeah.
there was like 10 years of confusion and bewilderment from my mom and my dad. They're like, why did you do this to yourself? But it all worked out. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
Where do the thumbs go? How does
Just a
this
new
work?
handshake.
Totally.